If you're wondering what microgreens actually are or how they're different from sprouts, this video right here clears it up once and for all. And I'll show you the one mistake most beginners make when they try and grow microgreens at home and how easy it is to avoid it. So hi, I'm Connor Hebel, founder of Island Microgreens. Our mission is to help inspire you to grow fresh, live microgreens right at home, no yard, no greenhouse, and no stress. So comment, grow below, and I'll share with you my microgreen masterclass completely free with 14 years of my microgreen growing experience. And stay tuned because I'm about to show you exactly how microgreens work, even if you've never planted anything before. So first of all, microgreens are baby plants. They're not sprouts. And this is really important to know because there's a big difference between microgreens and sprouts. So you have the seed, you have the sprout, and then you have the microgreen. And the reason why there's a big difference is because microgreens are 40% more nutrient dense than your mature vegetables, and they're more nutrient dense than sprouts. So by just letting them grow a couple days longer, your microgreens are going to be so much more nutrient packed than your sprouts are. And so sprouts are typically grown in jars. You typically put them like under your counter, under your kitchen sink, away from the light. And then you just pour some water in, wash them, and then pour that water out and just cool dark space. The difference between that and microgreens is that microgreens are grown on a tray and they see the light after day 3. And they use a grow medium, usually a cocoa coir or a jute mat, but there's a few other grow mediums, which you can watch this video right here. I will dive more into grow mediums there. And by letting them grow, see the sunlight, they are significantly more nutrient dense. So super powerful. And microgreens are harvested young, but they're not immature. So these super greens, like I mentioned, are up to 40% more nutrient dense than your mature vegetables. So think of like a broccoli versus broccoli microgreens, radish versus radish microgreens, or sunflower versus sunflower microgreens. They are going to be significantly more nutrient. In fact, Dr. Berg did a video talking about the power of a phytonutrient called sulforaphane. And sulforaphane has been researched to help with reducing your level of inflammation and do a thing with your cancer cells called autophagize them, which basically means explode. So really powerful stuff. And there's been a lot of research within what sulforaphane is. In your microgreens, there's 10 to 100 times more sulforaphane than in your mature veggies. That's 10 to 100 times, not 10 to 100%, 10 to 100 times more sulforaphane. So by getting your microgreens, you're getting extremely powerful veggies and phytonutrients. And they're grown clean. They're without the risk of pesticide use, and in our kits in particular, without the risks of sprout contamination. So when you grow microgreens, you want something really particular with your seeds, and there's a big reason why. And what you want is you want to make sure that your seeds are pathogen tested. And what this is your seeds have been tested to make sure that there isn't contaminants of E. coli and salmonella. And as you can imagine, that would be really huge when you're eating so closely to the seed. If you remember about 6 or 7 years ago, there was an E. coli and salmonella scare in sprouting. And that's because people were getting seeds that were not pathogen tested, which a lot of your garden seeds don't necessarily need to be because you're planting them outside and you're not eating really closely to that seed. But when you're sprouting and when you're growing microgreens, you need to make sure that your seeds are pathogen tested. So we make sure that we do that. And they're pesticide-free because you're putting what you want on your microgreens. So you're making sure that water is good quality, the air is good quality. That's pretty much all that needs to be around. The sunlight's good quality. And so there's no pesticides being used, no harsh chemicals. It's all whatever you put on it, you're in complete control. And that's what I love about growing microgreens and why I've empowered people to start growing their own microgreens at home. So if you've ever been confused by microgreens versus sprouts or worried about the safety, hit the like button. This info needs to get out there, and your like helps get more people so that they can find it. Because when we start growing our own food right at home, we're taking back control and we're making sure that we're getting our fresh live produce right at home. If you remember in COVID how the food chain at the stores got so out of whack, that's because we weren't in control. We didn't have the ability to grow our food. With growing your microgreens, it may not be all your food that you eat, and it's moving towards that level of food security. And remember, the number one beginner mistake that ruins microgreens before they even sprout. And before I get there, I just want to talk about how transformative microgreens are, because you can grow them anywhere. If you have an apartment, an RV, a small boat, or even you're up in space, you can grow your microgreens. In fact, NASA's grown them up in space. So if NASA can grow them up in space, you can grow your microgreens right at home. And I'll give you a little secret. For those of you who have friends, you don't know what to get them as gifts, microgreens make that perfect addition. Especially if they have an apartment or a small space and they still want to grow their own garden and fresh veggies, microgreens make an excellent gift. And for the first 200 people that are giving microgreens as gifts, I have a link below that's going to give you the best deal on your microgreens. And so it's only for the first 200, so go ahead and check that out. Regardless of where you're living, you can grow your own fresh life produce. And they're grown in 7 days. You'll literally see progress every single day, which makes them one of the most motivating and satisfying things to grow. They're the ultimate I grew this moment. Imagine you've spent, 15, 30 minutes planting your microgreens, watering them and taking care of them. And then by the end of day 7, you have fresh live microgreens that you can say that you've grown this. In fact, I had a customer who was 7 who had no interest in fruits or veggies at all. Only chicken nuggets and hamburgers. There was nothing else that he would eat. And he was really interested in amaranth microgreens because they're this bright neon pink. They look so different from regular veggies. He was like, you know what? I don't want to eat these. I just want to grow them. So he started growing his microgreens, and then he started to do something miraculous. He started to eat his microgreens. This is a kid that would not eat anything other than chicken nuggets and hamburgers. Started eating microgreens, and then started eating veggies. So by getting your kids, getting your family members starting to grow their own food, they're going to feel that excitement of, I did this, and they're going to start to eat their veggies. So this is a really excellent Christmas gift for any kids in your family. And if this makes you want to start trying to grow your microgreens or give them as a gift, hit subscribe and turn on the like bell. I've got more simple tips coming up that make you feel like a total pro in no time. All right, so here's that mistake I was talking about from the very beginning of this video. Overwatering. Most people want to soak the tray, end up keeping it too wet, and this leads to mold. And mold is not good. You also have root rot. So instead, follow the directions step by step. For the first couple days, you'll be misting them daily. Then after that, just put like a half a cup of water in your tray. And then what's going to be key here is come back 15 minutes later, lift up your 2 trays, look and make sure that there isn't any more water in there. If there is, then that means that your microgreens have already soaked up as much water as they need. Go ahead and pour that out. And that's about 15 minutes after you've watered your microgreens. Super simple. And by doing that, you're making sure that your microgreens don't have that risk of mold or a thing called root rot, where the roots start to turn brown and essentially start rotting. So you don't want either of those. And now you might be wondering, which microgreen should I actually grow or give as a gift? Some microgreens are easier than others, and doing the wrong choice could turn someone off for good for growing microgreens. So make sure you're picking those best microgreens for beginners. We'll also talk about growing microgreens in the winter. So go ahead and click this video right here, and I'll see you in the next video. As always, stay awesome.